Hello, welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news, and we've got a very big show for you tonight, and it's all around Manchester United and the cutting costs that Ineos are implementing. 200 new jobs are set to be slashed at Manchester United, and I'm pissed off. I won't lie, I'm absolutely pissed. And it's not necessarily because of these cuts that are coming in by Ineos, but it's the reaction to fans online. It's really annoying me, and I'm going to get into it. It's going to be an interesting show tonight. We're going to talk about it. Manchester United have released a statement today. Omar Barada has given his thoughts on it as well. We're going to dissect the reports, the statements that will come out from Manchester United and from Omar Barada. We're going to talk about why Ineos are making these cuts and maybe the stepping stones that it's going to take for Manchester United to get back to where we need to be, and that's, challenging for league titles and so on and so forth. We cannot continue to keep running the club the way we're running it and the way it's been run for the last 20 years under the Glazers, hemorrhaging money left, right and centre. And I believe that these cuts, while it is to the everyday working class person, you never like to see it, I think it's only the beginning. We're going to see more cuts to the playing staff. They're going to try and get the wage structure under control. They're going to try and start limiting, outlandish spending in the transfer window. I think it's all part of Ineos's plan to get Manchester United profitable again, because we haven't turned a profit in over 5 years, and it's really, really concerning from a Manchester United standpoint. And it's something that there's not enough fans online talking about it. It's all about Ineos out this, and the backlash towards Ineos today has been absolutely mind-boggling in my eyes. It really, really has. And I think people are just completely skipping over the fact that the Glazers have us in this mess and Ineos are trying to clean it up. But anyway, we're going to get into it. Please do smash a like on the video, guys, if you haven't done so already. Do hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel as well. Who have we got in the chat? Oshin is there, Ben is there, Dylan is there, D is in as well. Don't forget, guys, as well, if you are an official channel member, the memberships have changed from today. So there's no longer 3 tiers, there's just 1 tier. The bottom tier and the top tier are both gone, and it's all just the middle tier now. So if you're no longer a channel member, that's the reason. You will get refunded for whatever level you were on. And if you do want to continue to support, as always, no pressure, and want to become an official channel member, get them extra perks, you do need to renew your membership on the middle tier. It's $4.99 a month. The reason for it is that everybody gets the same benefits, so it's not fair to charge people different amounts. So that's the reason. So go renew, join at the bottom. The link is in the description if that's what you want to do as well. But yeah, anyway, guys, we're going to jump straight into it, and we're going to talk, of course, about what's been going on at Manchester United today, and big reports coming out. We knew they were coming. We knew these cuts were coming on the back of 250 jobs gone last summer. We knew that there was more jobs potentially going to go, and it was announced today by Manchester United. We're going to go down through the report, guys, and we'll dissect it a little bit and see how we get on. We've also got a statement from Omar Barada, the CEO, as well. But the Manchester United statement goes as follows. Manchester United is to transform its corporate structure as part of a series of additional measures to improve the club's financial sustainability and enhance operational efficiency. The transformation plan aims to return the club to profitability after 5 years consecutive of losses since 2019. This will create a more solid financial platform from which the club can invest in men's and women's football success and improved infrastructure. As part of these measures, the club anticipates that approximately 150 to 200 jobs may be made redundant, subject to a consultation process with employees. These would be in addition to 250 roles removed last year. Now, we're basically saying there that there's probably going to be some voluntary redundancies, and if people want to take redundancy, then they can. And if the amount required isn't fulfilled by voluntary redundancies, then they will implement the redundancies themselves. Now, look, Manchester United is to transform its corporate structure as part of a series of additional measures to improve the club's financial sustainability and enhance operational efficiency. The key word there that people are not talking about is series, okay, as part of a series of additional measures, okay. I don't think Ineos really knew I suppose the mammoth task to get Manchester United back to where it needs to be quite honest with you. Whether that's a little bit of naivety on Jim Radcliffe and Ineos' part, or whether they got in and went, oh, this is way worse than we actually thought. And Manchester United are absolutely hemorrhaging money, left, right and centre. Absolutely hemorrhaging money. And it's really, really concerning. And we'll get into some of the finer details, some of the reports saying where the additional I suppose scalebacks are going to take place, the canteen, the scouting department, so on and so forth. But we cannot continue to hemorrhage money the way we've been over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever the case may be. And while I don't like I don't like to hear about anybody losing their job. I really, really don't. That idiot Goldbridge, I was listening to him before I came on, and the title of his video was Ineos have destroying Manchester United, and he's talking about all of these cuts as if Ineos want to do it, and they're just doing it because they want to save some money here and there. They're doing it because it's necessary. It's necessary, and the reason why it's necessary is because we've been absolutely rode left, right and centre by idiots running the football club over the last minimum 10 years, and it was always going to come to this point. And while I understand that, what are Manchester United going to save on 200 jobs? They're going to save supposedly in and around, I think, with all of the job cuts, supposedly in around €8 million they're going to save per year. And look, while that mightn't sound like an awful lot in the grand scheme of things with Manchester United, it's going to be the first of many. Jim Radcliffe, I go back to the transfer market, and even the January one just gone, and the summer one before, he was trying to get rid of some of the top players on top bill. You know what I mean? That were on the top money. He's trying to get rid of Casemiro for 2 transfer windows now. He tried in the summer to get rid of Marcus Rashford, and eventually he got him gone on loan. I'm telling you, this is all part of Manchester United restructuring the financial departments within Old Trafford and trying to make us profitable again. And while the first steps may be the working man, the everyday working man and woman, the working class people, that's always the case. When it comes to restructuring businesses, it's always the case. If a business is losing money, you've got to restructure, you've got to scale down, and you've got to let people go. That's how business works, and it's unfortunate that that's the case. But look at Manchester United at the moment are the Twitter of the football world or the Premier League. Elon Musk came into Twitter and he said, I don't need 75% of you. And he just got rid of them. He got rid of them because you can run a football club unless people in Manchester United have employed. You really can. And I think one of the main reasons why we're looking at Manchester United letting so many people go is because of this. It's because Manchester United have got the highest amount of staff on the books than any club in the Premier League. And this 1,140 is after the 250 that were let go last summer. We've got a bloated staff at Manchester United. And again, look, I might be coming across here as sounding, a bit cold and callous. And you always do feel for people when they lose their job. But what are we supposed to do here? Are we supposed to just continue to hemorrhage money out of the football club? Are we supposed to continue to, have nearly 1,200 people working for Manchester United when 700 people can do the same job? Why would any business do that? Why would anyone throw money down the drain like that? From a business standpoint. Now, not from a human and an ethical standpoint. I understand, and there are going to be people saying, oh, you want to, would you rather these people have their job or a new striker in the summer? And I would say to them people, grow a pair of fucking balls, will you? Because that's not how the world works. People lose their job in the real world, okay, and they'll get new jobs. That's how it works, and if they're working for any company in the future that's under financial strain, what's going to happen? They're going to get made redundant. There's going to be redundancies, whether it be voluntary at first, then then mandatory redundancies. That's how it works when businesses are not profitable and sustainable. And Manchester United are running very, very close to the profit and sustainability rules with the Premier League, and it's really, really concerning. It really is, I have to say. Let me jump into some of your comments here before we go any further. Oshin says, as a socialist trade unionist, I'm pissed. As a United fan, I know it's necessary. Mixed emotions. Exactly, it is mixed emotions. It absolutely is. Finn says, it'll all remain to be seen. We won't know for a few years. You won't know for a few years, and that's a great point as well. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line where we will, see the other side of these cost-cutting measures, and we will see how it will work in the coming couple of transfer windows. Have we the money to spend? Are we able to go out and buy the types of players that we want to buy? We'll know in months and maybe years to come. D says, yeah, effed off as a working class fella, but in the broader scale of things, the business has hemorrhaged money for what? And when that happens, staff gets cut. Donald says, what do you think of the rumour? Yeah, we spoke about Pogba last week, Donald. Oshin says, I disagree. These are unfortunate results of years of mismanagement. It's necessary to streamline and make us safe from PSR and be long-term competitive again in the league and in Europe. Exactly. I agree. Dylan says, Sir Jim ain't got a clue. He's just as bad as those Glazers. Well, you're an idiot, Dylan, if you believe that Ineos are as bad as the Glazers. And yeah, look, I say I respect everyone's opinion, and that's your opinion, but that's absolutely idiotic. D says, he's doing this as it's the position the Glazers have put us in financially. Oshin says, don't become the richest guy in Britain by not having a clue. Absolutely. They for sure did not present Ineos with the operating finances and income when purchase was going through. Well, look, I find it difficult to believe that Jim Ratcliffe didn't know everything when he was coming in. I mean, when you're buying into something so big and you're putting so much money up, you've got access to everything. You've got access to the finances. You've got access to whatever the case may be. I'm not an expert in that field by any sense of the imagination, but you do have. And look, I remember covering or doing lives when Jim Ratcliffe was, potentially going to take over, and there was a period when all of Manchester United's finances and all of the books were released to any potential buyers, and I remember reporting on that as well. So look, he knew what he was getting himself into. Did he maybe think he could do it a lot quicker? Potentially, but again, that's maybe a little bit of naivety on his part. Let's see. The only thing we can do is change players' contracts. The only thing we cannot do is change players' contracts. Yeah, and I've seen this all day today on some of the posts that I put up. The working class people losing their job, but Casemiro is still earning 350 grand a week. And again, the one thing I would say is just grow up. Just grow up. Casemiro has got a rock solid contract. There's a reason why he's on 350 grand a week. You know what I mean? And you cannot just, and people are saying, why don't you just sack players and this and that and the other? You can't do that. The only way you can get rid of a player is either to sell him to another club or to buy out his contract or let his contract run down. That's it. They're the only options you have. All of the power is within the players. You go all the way back as far as the Bosman ruling, when players started to get, and look, legally, that's, what they're entitled to. So, the everyday working man and woman, when, redundancies come around, businesses have things in place where, they can implement redundancies to stay profitable and so on and so forth. That's just the way of the world. It really, really is. Oshin says, imagine if we get relegated, we'd fold. No way we could sustain these losses. Yeah, it would be... the only real thing you would say is maybe the global revenue that United pull in would probably lessen the blow a little bit. But, the money you would lose on TV deals and, sponsorship deals and so on, it would be catastrophic. It really would. United need to get their revenue from your YouTube ads sorted in a fortnight. Jeez, go away, will you, the book? I don't know how often they come up. Let me know how often they come up, will you? Because I can change some of the settings in the background. But yeah, anyway. D says, you sack a player, we owe them the entire remainder. Yeah, absolutely. And Donald says, it's a boiling pot at the moment. Bad results and all going on behind the scenes. Something got to give in and it won't. Sir Jim... the cancel culture amongst fans is something else. Yeah, I mean, I was watching Goldbridge before I came live, and some guy put up a super chat. He spent £50 on a super chat saying it's pretty much what I've been saying. It's the way of the world. You know, it's disappointing that these people are losing their jobs, but United need to get profitable again, and this is the only way to do it. And you want to see the abuse he got in the live chat, calling him a scumbag, and I hope you lose your job in the morning, and this and that and the other. And that's the kind of divisiveness that he creates on his channel. You know, he has a title saying, you know, Ineos are destroying Manchester United, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They're trying to fix Manchester United. They're genuinely trying to fix Manchester United. Mark Goldbridge puts up a video saying Ineos are trying to destroy Manchester United. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It couldn't be further from the truth. These cuts, while it's terrible for the everyday working man and woman, it's necessary, and it's the first of many that will probably work its way up to the topper echelons of players at Manchester United, where cuts are going to be implemented. It's the way of the world. People lose their jobs when businesses are not profitable and are losing money. That's what happens. So for Mark Goldbridge to come out and say Ineos are destroying Manchester United as a title in his video is so absolutely, unbelievably irresponsible. It's so irresponsible. It should be the Glazers, because the Glazers have put us in this position, and Ineos are trying to fix it, and they're trying to clean it up. And if you're going to cry over 200 people losing their job, then brilliant. And you know, nobody wants to see people losing their job. But what's the end goal here? Is it Manchester United being profitable again? Or is it keeping 200 people in their jobs? I'll leave that one with you. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but look, I think it's necessary, to be quite honest with you. Clarion says it's a pretty toxic place at the moment. That's only the fan base. Donald says, so toxic. Now is the time to stick together, not rip apart. Absolutely. But as Jack just said, you have people like Goldbridge feeding them up. Yeah, feeding them up. 100%. Now, Omar Barada, guys, he has had his say, obviously, as the CEO of Manchester United, has released a statement as part of the cost-cutting statement that was released today. He says, we have a responsibility to put Manchester United in the strongest position to win across our men's, women's and academy teams. We are initiating a wide-ranging series of measures which will transform and renew the club. Unfortunately, this means announcing further potential redundancies, and we deeply regret the impact on those affected colleagues. However, these hard choices are necessary to put the club back on a stable financial footing. We have lost money for the past 5 consecutive years. This cannot continue. Our 2 main priorities as a club are delivering success on the pitch and for our fans and improving our facilities. We cannot invest in these objectives if we are continuously losing money. At the end of this process, we will have a more lean, agile and financially sustainable football club while continuing to provide a world-class service for our valuable commercial partners. We will then be in a much stronger position to invest in football success and improved facilities for fans while remaining compliant with UEFA and Premier League regulations. It's a big statement, it really is, and you know, a lot of people will say again, look, you're putting commercial partners ahead of, you know, people losing their jobs and so on and so forth. But again, you know, I go back to this, you know, you're losing money for the last 5 consecutive years, you know, and it cannot continue. It just cannot continue. Now, the one thing that I would say here is that people losing their jobs, like I said, is very, very difficult, and you never like to see it happening. But if this is going to be the first step of cost-cutting measures and reining in Manchester United and making them profitable again, what are we going to do about the dividends? Or sorry, what are we going to do about the interest on the loan payments? And that's the main issue here with the money that the Glazers borrowed to buy Manchester United, the interest on that is over $1 billion that we've paid now in 20 years. And that, according to reports today, that's going up in 2 years to 50 million per year. Now, that is a lot more money than you will ever have to worry about staff wages. And while I do agree that maybe you've got to cut costs everywhere, there has to be a plan in place from Ineos to deal with these interest repayments. It cannot continue to happen this way. The only other way, and again, I'm not an expert when it comes to how these things work, but if you don't have a plan in place to get that down and to start paying off the debt, then the only real way anything is going to change is that if there's a full sale. And I don't see a full sale coming from the Glazers. I genuinely don't. So something has to be put in place about the interest repayments, because we can't continue to pay this kind of money. We just can't. You can have all the cost-cutting measures and sack every staff member that's ever worked at Manchester United, and you still won't cover that 50 million each year that you've got to pay in 2 years' time. And that's a big concern. You know what I mean? But again, it's something that it's just going to have to be done. It's just going to have to be done, to be honest with you. And these kind of plans that need to be put in place are plans for a lot smarter people than me or you. You know what I mean? But look, I mean, in a way, I agree with what Barada is saying here. At the end of this process, and again, the process is not at the end of sacking 200 people, this week or next week or whenever the case may be. The process will be, like we said earlier, it'll be 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line when Manchester United are in a position where, we can go out and buy players every year again, and, we're making right decisions. We're not wasting money willy-nilly in the transfer market or on, scouting departments or on, whatever the case may be. But I do agree, we will learn, or we will have a more lean, agile and financially sustainable football club while continue to provide world-class service to our to our valuable commercial partners. Now, a lot of people, anti, what's the word I'm looking for? Business or whatever. There's a word there, I can't remember it. That don't like corporate money and so on and so forth. Manchester United, a lot of Manchester United's revenue comes from commercial partners. It comes from sponsorship deals. It comes from Adidas. It comes from Lay's chips, if they're, in Thailand or something, if they're the local sponsors. All of these things matter. So Manchester United having a well-run club, a well-run business, and a successful one, hopefully, on the back of that, will allow Manchester United to improve, with sponsorship deals, whatever the case may be. And that all adds into the pot that Manchester United can go out then and use and spend and try and improve the football club around the back of this. You know what I mean? Look, he says we will be in a much better, stronger position to invest in football success. There we go. And improve facilities for fans while remaining compliant with UEFA and Premier League regulations. And again, I can understand what people are saying here. What does that have to do with, sacking 200 people is not going to, get us to this stage, and it won't. But it's always the working man and woman that lose their jobs first, or when there's scale backs in business. It's always them. They're always the ones that lose their job first, and it's unfortunate that that's the way the world works. But put on your big boy pants, because that's what happens. You know what I mean? And again, if you're talking about the end goal being Jim Ratcliffe building a new stadium, and the regenerative project around Old Trafford that's going to provide 1,500 jobs in the next, 10 years or whatever the case may be, pros and cons, but anyway. David says, it's awful that people lose their jobs. No one wants that, but United need to find a way to stop bleeding money. 5 straight years of losses, it just can't go on. Yeah, absolutely. Party Pooper says, I'd say the Glazers are loving that the attention is on Ineos 100%. Redundancies are normal, not nice but necessary, absolutely. Seems your entire following seem to be the same, says D. Let's see, what else have we got? Oshin says, oh, sorry, no, I'm after going a little bit too far. The players have ironclad contracts. You can't dick about. Think of Bogarde at Chelsea. It's player power. Plus, how do we replace these players if we can't afford soup and sandwiches? Yeah, I know. I know. What money will be? What money will we get from our sales? Who have we got to sell for decent money? We'll get into a little bit of that in a minute. Yeah. D says, oh yeah, you're talking to each other in the chat. That's all well and good. Right. Yeah, look, I mean, some of the cuts and some of the reports today coming out that, a lot of the cuts are going to be coming internally to Manchester United. Not with just people losing their jobs, but a scale back on services at Manchester United as well for people. And obviously the comedic one today was lunch at Carrington for everyone except first team players has been reduced to soup and sandwiches. And that includes coaches and analysts. I work for a multi-million euro company. I've got to pay for my lunch. You know what I mean? I've got to pay for my lunch. Do you pay for your lunch when you go to work? No, I've got a subsidised canteen, but I pay for my lunch when I'm in work, when I'm in the office. I don't see why this is being a big deal, to be quite honest with you. And I think it's been played off as, people not having their lunches paid at Old Trafford now who work there that are not players is quite normal in any other business in the world. Like I said, I pay for my lunch and I work for a multi-million euro company. I don't see a big deal about this, and I think a lot of the reports are playing off everyone except the first team players. Yeah, but the first team players are all on strict diets because they're professional fucking athletes. You know what I mean? The everyday working man and woman in 99% of jobs has to either bring their own lunch or go out and get their own lunch on their lunch break. You know what I mean? Now, let's look at this rationally. Would Manchester United save an awful lot by scaling back the soup and sandwiches in the canteen? No, they won't. But I think the overarching idea of scaling everything back at Manchester United is probably what's most important, because we're hemorrhaging money left, right and centre. And if we continue to do that, then we're only going one place, and that's further down than we are. And we're in bloody 15th in the Premier League at the moment. So, yeah, that's the... That's my overarching opinion on that one, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit comedic, to be quite honest with you. Is that free soup and sandwiches? I take that. Exactly. It's free soup and sandwiches. It's free soup and sandwiches. 99% of people going to work would be happy with free soup and sandwiches every day. You know what I mean? And Adam, you're you're the same as me. You've been in the same canteen as me. You know what I mean? So people pay for their fucking lunch in the real world. I work for a multi-million quid global company and we get fruit in a bowl. There we go, says D. Finn says, I used to work in oil and gas and that's the only place I ever got lunch and dinner paid for. Garnacho could do with getting stuck into the soup and sambos as well. So yeah, look, I mean, a little bit comedic there as well. Now there is a more concerning one, to be quite honest with you. And the more concerning report today coming out from Luke Edwards in The Telegraph. He's been saying that Manchester United are considering savage cuts to their recruitment staff and scouting network as part of the latest round of redundancies planned by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. United could even close offices around the world with its London base under threat, as well as foreign outposts in places such as Hong Kong. first and foremost, I don't really care about United closing offices, halfway around the world, because while maybe financially, or if there's a financial benefit of having people there working on sponsorship deals within that country, brilliant. If that can all be brought in-house and done from Manchester, then just do that. You know what I mean? I suppose the main part of this is the scouting network being scaled back. And when I first read it, I was saying, oh, Jesus, we're just starting to identify some young players, Diego Leon, Sekou Kone, Chido Obi Martin, these types of players. We've been calling for this for years, and now is it potentially going to get scaled back? Well, the silver lining around this is scouting has changed over the last 5 to 10 years, where before it was an old guy in a stand with a piece of paper, and he was looking at him going, yeah, he's strong, fit, all of that. And he would bring that scouting report back. Now it's all done off of, it's all done with technology, and it's all done with statistics, with biometrics, all these kind of things, where you don't really need somebody sitting in a stand to see whether they're a good player or not. You can look at it by their stats, their height, their weight, distance ran, speed covered, duels won, whatever the case may be. Aerial duels won, conversions, chance creations, goals scored, so on and so forth. You don't need to go and watch a guy for 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row to get that kind of information anymore. You can now get it by going on Y-Scout, and there's a lot of infrastructure there now online that allows scouting departments to know about a player without ever even seeing him. Now, that doesn't say that you're not going to go and see him, but what I'm saying is that a scouting department doesn't need to be sitting in a stand for 2 months, or a certain scout watching every single game. He can look at the data, look at the statistics, and go, okay, well, this ticks all the boxes for us. Let's go have a look at him and watch him for 1 or 2 games and see does it back up what they're saying. And a lot of teams and clubs are doing that now. And United do have a pretty extensive global scouting network. I think of about 80 or 90 scouts, I think, worldwide, which is very big. Very big. Doesn't sound like an awful lot, but it is very big. And I think Manchester United are probably a little bit slow, as usual, like we always are, in terms of modernising the scouting department and using the technology more so than actually having, boots on the ground, as they would say. But again, I hope that's the only way we're talking about scaling back the scouting network, because, if it isn't, and you're talking about really dwindling it completely, then we're in big trouble. Because if you're talking about a club that hasn't got an awful lot of money to go out and spend, you need your scouting department to be identifying players for you, whether that be through the technology or whether it be out actually watching players week in, week out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know, heard of Zoom, says Oshin. David says, a thing I read today said that United had about 150 odd people in a particular department, where a team like Arsenal only have half that. Ineos are trimming the fat. It's a shame, but change is needed. Yeah, you're 100% right, David. And we put up the graphic on screen, and there it is again. Manchester United have 1,140 staff members, and that's after the 250 cuts last summer. And you're talking about Liverpool with way less. And then you're looking at, way less. I mean, Man City have nearly half the amount of staff that we've got. You know what I mean? They're half the size of a club, of course, as well. But yeah. So that's the point that you're making, and it's well made, absolutely. Oshin says, not only in-depth knowledge, but top-tier impressions. That scout was fair city levels of acting. Bravo. D says, do the scouting on FM24, safe as a bag. Absolutely. Finn says, did you ever see that film Moneyball? Could build a team from the comfort of the couch. There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be all for it, to be quite honest with you. Now, the one scale back, potential scale back that I do not agree with is this one. And there are talks over reducing the funding for the Manchester United Foundation. And this one is a hard one to take. It is a hard one to take, because this is taking money away from a charity, and it's Manchester United's charity, of course. You never like to see that. You really don't, and it's probably one, I would say, from a human standpoint, I would assume Jim Radcliffe and Barada and whoever else is making the decisions there, that would probably be the last on the list, if at all possible. You don't want to be pulling money away from, the Manchester United Foundation. I mean, you've got to think of PR as well, and I think Ineos don't give a toss about PR, to be quite honest with you. I think they are very comfortable, and again, I think Oisin said it in the live chat there. Jim Radcliffe hasn't become Britain's richest man by, doing the popular thing. He's able to make the difficult decisions and stick by them. And I don't think he cares about PR at the moment when it comes to these difficult decisions. Now, he does want, I would presume, the good graces of, say, the fan base, for example. But if he doesn't get it, I don't think he'll be too bothered by it. I think he knows what he wants. He has an idea of how to do it, and he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And again, I'm just baffled by, the noise coming online today from the online fan base, saying Ineos are a disgrace and Ineos out and this and that and the other, when, it's the Glazers that got us here. It's the Glazers that got us here, lads, over the last 25 years. And, while there are some tough decisions to be made and unpopular decisions, they have to be made. They just have to be made. You've got to be ruthless. You really, really do. You've got to be ruthless. And if you're not, you're going to get left behind. Got a tickle in my throat here. Give me 1 sec. So, yeah. Anyway. We'll know more when we know more. And we'll talk about it then. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit before we finish, for the next maybe 5 or 10 minutes, around a few transfer stories today. A few transfer stories. First one coming out from Ben Jacobs today, and it's in relation to a player that we are heavily linked with, and it's Kenda. I think it's pronounced Kenda. Okay, not Quenda. But I'm going to say Kenda for now. And Ben Jacobs was saying talks are advancing between Manchester United and Sporting for Giovanni Kenda. George Mendes is directly involved in the negotiations. George Mendes, super agent. Pretty good relationship with Manchester United as well. Look, this guy looks like he's going to end up a Manchester United player, to be quite honest with you. And more than anything else, I'm quite happy with the fact that we are negotiating deals already. And I think that's something that's quite encouraging. And it's something that I've been expecting, to be quite honest with you. We mentioned it after the January transfer window, didn't we? That, the fact that we didn't go out and sign anybody in January meant that you've got to get it right in the summer. And getting it right in the summer means putting things in place now. And obviously over the last few years, the main signing, the biggest signing you could say that happened that way was Erling Haaland for Man City, where I think that was agreed and done in April, I think. So the fact that we're putting things in place for the summer already is very encouraging. And when you're seeing some of these reports about agents already being involved and stuff like that, they're all key markers in the stratosphere of rumours coming out. Agents are involved, key markers. Advanced talks, key markers, and they kind of boom, boom, boom. United are interested in Kenda. 2 weeks later, boom, United have made contact with Sporting over Kenda. Boom, 2 weeks later, George Mendes is directly involved in negotiations. All right, we're moving here now, you know. So it does seem like this guy will potentially be a Manchester United player in the summer. Hopefully, right wing back. Now, again, the issue here is you're talking about another young player. What is he, 17? Is that all he is, 17? I don't even think he's 18. How much more youth can you potentially bring in without having to sprinkle a bit of experienced quality in there as well? And yeah, like if you got your two wing backs as Dargu and Kenda, then you're talking very... Now, Dargu's what? He's 21, 22, is he? So, a little bit more experienced, I think. But yeah, this guy's a young kid. He's a child. And look, I'm all for it. But I hope we get the balance right in the summer. You know, I've no problem with getting Kenda in, you know, and Sekou Kone is coming through, and, you know, you have Dargu on the other side, young player. You know, Garnacho's a young player. You've got Toby Collier, and then bang, Victor Osimhen up front, 27 years of age, ready to score 30 goals. Happy days. You know, you've got to get that fine balance right. You really do, and I just hope we do. I hope we do, to be quite honest with you. Now, finally, guys, Inter Milan are interested in signing Mason Mount on loan with an option to buy this summer. It's coming out of Italy. And it's, again, look, very, very early calls on this, but I mean, it's been a disaster for Mason Mount. Still no return there from him. And yeah, I think maybe Mason Mount should be moved on in the summer. But again, another fucking loan? Is that what we're really coming to now? Mason Mount has got, what, 2 years left on his deal? Has he? Is that what he's got? This is his second season, isn't it? Are we going to send him out on loan? And then hope he doesn't get injured again? If we are to get these players moved on, I want to see him go permanently. I've no problem with a January loan, like Marcus Rashford or Anthony or Terrell Malacia, all gone out on loan, and by hell or high water, they'll probably be moved on permanently in the summer. But are you going to loan a player in the summer for 12 months? You know, and then bring him back the following year and go, it's just, we've seen it so many times. You know, we've seen it with, you know, players going out on loan, coming back, stuck at the club again, trying to move them on. You know, we've even seen players that stayed at Manchester United because there was only loan offers there for him, and United didn't want to move him on because of that, and so on and so forth. Like, we tried to get rid of Harry Maguire, didn't want to leave. I'm sick of players getting stuck at Manchester United, and the reasons for it is because of the money we gave them under a previous ownership. You know, I think Ineos have been very, very clever and very tight. I would have to say tight in terms of what they've been given in terms of salaries. They've really looked to scale it back. And again, we said, didn't we, when Ineos came in a year ago, just over a year ago, that there's going to be a hangover for the next couple of years until you cleanse that squad of the high wages and the underperforming players that we've signed in the past decade. You know, there's still players there. Like, you're talking about players that are not good enough. You can throw as many players as you like into that category now on the back of what we're doing this season. So, yeah, it's going to take time. And someone like Mason Mount, it hasn't worked at Manchester United. It's time to move on. And I would have liked to see it work. And, you know, maybe it still will. I don't know. You know, he's got to first get himself fit. He's then got to get into the team. Then he's got to perform consistently, you know, between now and the end of the season. And time is running out for him. I mean, we're nearly in March already. You know, the season ends in May, lads. So how much football is Mason Mount going to play between now and the end of the season? Good, consistent, week in, week out, available football. I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I think time is against Mason Mount to save his Manchester United career, to be honest with you. Party Boober says, Jim knows what he wants, and he isn't exactly young, so he isn't going to take a slow approach to get what he wants. I agree, 100%. Oshin says, we don't need much more for the future signings. We need some for right now. You'll win nothing with kids, says Finn. He says, sell in relation to Mason Mount. Oshin says, those kids were blooded for years, though. They were, and they went out on loan to, David Beckham was at Preston and so on and so forth. No sentimentality. Worst number 7 in my living memory. Loan with obligation. Nothing less. Yeah, I agree. How could any team be interested in signing him? He hasn't played. But there you go. There will be teams interested, though. There's always teams in. Like, look at fucking Anthony Martial. Left Manchester, was injured for the best part of his career at Manchester United. Left United and hasn't missed a game since. You know what I mean? Why? Because he's playing in a lesser league with less intensity. He's probably scratching his nutsack in training more than running around. That's why. You know what I mean? There's levels to this. And unfortunately, we're at the bottom rung of it at the moment. Finn says, don't even know if he was good or bad. He just didn't play. Exactly. He didn't play enough games for any of us to have an opinion on him. And it's a shame. Maybe he'll get that. I don't know. Time will tell, and the summer will give us that... the answers. But anyway, guys, look, I'm going to leave it there. If you haven't already done so, please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. I do appreciate it. Got some people in as well from some new followers on Instagram. Instagram is exploding the last maybe week or so. 2,000 new followers on Instagram, so posting daily there as well, guys. Make sure you check it out. Follow us on everything down below, and like I said, guys, if you haven't already done so, you need to change your membership. If you're on either the lower level, the $2.99 level, or the $9.99 level, both of them levels are now gone, and I brought them all together as a $4.99 membership level. It's just fair for everybody because everybody is getting the same amount of benefits and content, so everybody should be paying the same. So if you haven't done so already, you do need to change your membership. If you haven't done so already, it's actually gone now. You're not still an official channel member. Again, there's no pressure to do it if you don't want to. Obviously, the people on the lower levels, they do have to pay a little bit more. No pressure at all. People on the higher levels dropping down will be delighted, I presume. But yeah, if you want to join, hit the join button underneath, or the link is in the description of the video as well, guys. I do appreciate you watching. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'll be back tomorrow night as well. We've got more to talk about tomorrow. But until then, have a great evening, and I'll chat to you then. Take it easy.